Hi guys, it's the 29th episode of Promptsquad, and for this month the prompt was to illustrate a short story or poem suggested by our own Carter. Now, I was really excited to get started on this one, that I actually for once did this at the start of the month rather than last minute before the deadline starts. So I'm kind of glad that I actually did it, but I've kind of forgotten what I did of it, so it's going to be interesting to watch this back. So got the new iPad, busted out Procreate, and I decided to learn some of the tools and the techniques with this one. It's kind of a bit experimental, I won't lie, but I had a lot of fun with it, and I really hope you'll enjoy seeing how it came together too. Now, I've recently been falling in love with Cartoon Saloon's animated movies, and the trilogy in particular that's based on Irish folklore that they've been working on, and the final film that they just made is called Wolfwalkers. And if you guys haven't seen it, you need to, because it is beyond amazing. I absolutely love it. The style, the story, when I watched it, I thought, okay, I need to create a piece of art inspired by this. And after I heard the prompt, I thought, right, know what I'm going to do. So it's all about a blonde girl that you see in this drawing called Robin, who's this apprentice hunter, and she's coming over to Ireland with her father to take care of this rampant wolf pack that's attacking the town. But at this time in Ireland, people are all a bit more superstitious, a bit more, believing in the magic of the world, and are kind of worried about the wolf pack and its powers, what will happen, if they go after the wolves. And inevitably you're going to meet Maeve, who's the girl in this picture as well. She lives among the wolf pack, and the story kind of carries on from there as these two clashing together. I really don't want to ruin the story beyond that, so you should treat yourself to watch it and find out the story yourself. Anyway, like I say, the art style is just gorgeous. It has all these hints and callbacks to traditional Irish art and folklore, and I love that the animation reflected that by kind of looking a bit like a woodblock print, especially in the backgrounds, and then all of these scribbly lines over the characters as they move is so expressive, and I really wanted to capture that in my painting too. I also really love the colour tones and how the animators play with colour, not only in this one, but also in the Song of the Sea, which is about selkies. So when I was sketching up this idea, I knew that I wanted to play with this kind of whirlwind of colour, all of these leaves kind of surrounding them and kind of giving this feeling of spinning. Now, I didn't want anything to be too complex either. Really, I know that I just wanted to add a couple of details maybe to the characters in the centre, but I found it really nerve-wracking to just limit myself like that. I'd love to know if you guys are the same, but whenever I have like a large area of my painting that I want to leave as a blank colour, I'm like hyperventilating, thinking about it, thinking like, oh, it needs more detail, or, maybe people will think I've forgotten to do something here. And yeah, I really admire when art actually does that and achieves it well. So I really pushed myself with this one to try and stick to block colour as much as I could around, especially the edges. Hopefully the effect worked, but you'll have to let me know. Finally, to create the wolf spirits, I used the glow pen tool on Procreate and tried to bring out a bit of those woodblock patterns again to illustrate the fur and the different pattern styles, I guess. I kind of just drew this organically, and you can probably tell that by me constantly, delete on my drawings as I go. But I think it worked out for the best, as it kept feeling sketchy, kind of felt that kind of movement, I think. And yeah, it just wasn't too polished, which is what I was going for, shockingly. And yeah, there it is. I hope you enjoyed seeing how this was made, and if you haven't, I hope you'll check out the Wolfwalkers film, because it's extremely inspiring. And if you enjoy art, which I'd like to hope you do if you're watching the video, I think you'll appreciate it, just for the animation alone, let alone how good the story is too. Now, on to the rest of Promptsquad and all the wonderful artists that have taken part this month and the art that they created. Carter's piece is inspired by the poem The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe, and I think they did a fantastic job of it. The levels of the watercolour tones, they just add enough detail to the face and Raven without them overdoing it, and then he added all these extra details and textures by kind of scratching into that paint. I think it's such a cool effect, and it's such a great way of layering up information without taking away from the graphical look of the piece overall. It also kind of reminds me of that painting, the Son of Man by René Magritte, in the composition. I'm not sure if that was intentional, Carter, but I thought it was really cool. Dave created this wonderful illustration of the BFG by Roald Dahl for the prompt, and I always love when Dave creates art inspired by known characters, because he always brings so much life to them, and I think you can always see his style very clearly in each of them too. I think maybe my favourite part of this is how Dave's achieved levels of scale, both in the way that it feels realistic, you can tell the difference between the two sizes, but it adds enough detail to both of the characters too. You don't sacrifice one for the other. I think it's really well proportioned and thought out, and it took a lot of clever composition, which I think is really, really impressive. I really enjoyed it. Old Twarop 13, aka Mama, did such a wonderful embroidery for this one. I don't know where that voice came from. Anyway, it's kind of a multimedia piece really, as she painted the trees and the landscape using watercolour pencils directly onto the fabric, and then she's layered the embroidery to make this 3D work of art. You might have guessed from the username, but my mum's a massive fan of the Twilight series, and I think that this quote, along with the cool kind of graphical representation she's done to signify each of the books, really work together beautifully. It's such a cool idea and great execution. I hope she'll paint even more on her fabric too. Gonna have to invest in some fabric paints, I think. But yeah, it looks great. Sean, or Uncle Frogface, you'll have to let me know which one you prefer, Sean. He created this fantastic digital painting for the short story The Hellbound Heart. I really loved his take, not only because I learned a lot more about the Hellraiser movies, but also because it's just so damn atmospheric and creepy. I love the way that Sean's cast the light diagonally across the character and then faded out the chains in the background. It all feels like it's kind of drawing towards you, like you're kind of being summoned into the painting itself. It's just so cool. And yeah, I especially love how he's used colours, how you can see the cube and the eyes share these colour highlights. It's just all works together so beautifully, and yeah, I love how spooky it is. It's fantastic. T-Light made such a fun take on this prompt, which gets smarter the more that you know about it, as I didn't realise at first what this was based on, because I hadn't read the story of Harold and the Purple Crayon. But I love how T-Light has expressed all of these ideas and stages of the story using this continuous line style. It's so effective and such a clever way of taking you through that story. It's kind of like an abstract storyboard, really. I also love that T-Light stuck with that one purple colour and relied just on the line art for her illustration. Took a lot of confidence, and I think it was really worth it because it turned out brilliant. Tara took this prompt down an unexpected alley, which I just wish I thought of it. Tara, you do this to me every month. But it's gorgeous. I mean, instead of telling a specific story, Tara decided to look into what does it mean to illustrate or write a story with her own character, and it's walking through the stages of that process. I love the way that Tara has layered the composition so that it flows down the page and then becomes more substantiated as it comes to the final story. It just feels like a dream being brought onto the paper. And that goose and the cute hedgehog too is such a sweet wink to Beatrix Potter. I think it's beautiful. It's lovely as always, Tara. Nadia created this gorgeous black and white ink piece inspired by one of Roald Dahl's more dark stories, from what I understand, The Lamb to the Slaughter. Now, I read some of the stories that he wrote for Playboy back in the day, oddly enough, but I hadn't heard of this one. And after seeing Nadia's piece, I'm definitely going to have to check it out. I think that her illustration has this vibe of, Hitchcock's Psycho in those characters. I think it's the way that Nadia's illustrated the couple. I mean, they're so spooky but strong and classical. I think it's really cool. It's a very cool representation of it. Troy's piece was inspired by the story of Sleepy Hollow, and what I love about his work is that he's composed it beautifully across the 2-page spread in the sketchbook. The composition is really clever, and I love how Troy has weighted each of the different features against each other, just to kind of bring you through the story with just enough detail, but thinking of it as an overall piece of art too. Plus, I love how Troy's used the sword to guide your eye across both parts of the page too. I really love how Troy also depicted the night scene in this by using red rather than a black as the backdrop. I think that's such a cool idea, and yeah, I want to steal it, Troy. I'm going to steal your ideas. Emily created this beautiful illustration inspired by the Beatrix Potter books. In particular, the tale of Jemima Puddle Duck, which I think might be my favourite. Something about geese stealing clothing just appeals to me, I guess. But yeah, I love that Emily did this traditionally on a wood slice. I think it just all works with the idea and the concepts of Beatrix Potter so well. And I think oddly my favourite part of this painting is the kind of faded background and how Emily's kind of blended it out and then used the pen tool to bring it out. The pen tool has used a pen to make it look like a traditional piece of art with these modern takes to it. It's got that classical feel as well, which kind of reminds me of, the original Winnie the Pooh illustrations. Yeah, I just think it's a beautiful way of depicting it, and I really like how it turned out. And that is everyone's entries for this month's prompt. Ugh. I really enjoyed seeing what everyone created and learning more about the stories that inspire you as well. Because, we had this idea of what inspires you visually, but it's fun to hear what inspires you in written literature too. It's really interesting to see where everyone prompts off from. Anyway, to go on now, let's go and pick next month's prompt. Now remember, if you have an idea for a prompt, make sure to share it in the comments below so I can add it to the wheel next month. And this month's prompt is... No way, what is happening here? It's like you get 2 in a row or something with this wheel. Right, first we got Nadia, now we got Carter. Okay, so this month's prompt is a custom suit of armour suggested by Carter. And like always, it's up to you to kind of take that prompt and see where it leads you. I mean, clearly you've got the literal design a custom suit of armour yourself idea, but I mean, maybe you want to look into the characters who may wear armour, or maybe tell your own story, like a historical story. Or even you could look into, say, the historical art of armour and weaponry. I don't know, but I'm really sure that you guys are going to come up with better ideas than that, and I can't wait to see what you do. The deadline will be the 1st of September, where I'll then show off what everyone created. If this is your first video of Promptsquad, welcome, and if you're interested in joining Promptsquad, all you need to do is create a piece of art inspired by this month's prompt, and then upload it to Instagram or YouTube with the hashtag Promptsquad, and I'll make sure to add your information and your art to the next video. You can also email me your work of art. My email address is in my profile on YouTube. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this month's Promptsquad as much as I have. Thank you all so much to the members for inspiring us every month with your art, and thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!